Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. Jacalyn. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. Jacalyn at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome. Season's greetings, everyone. Happy holidays from USA Global TV. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and we'd like to welcome our friends listening on Business Talk Radio. Our show today is The Listening Mentor. This is an opportunity for our team of elevated listeners, people who have invested their time and money to learn how to listen authentically. This is an opportunity for them to share in role plays with me, where we help provide lessons to our audience about how to listen. If you'd like to be an elevated listener, please do go over to Eventbrite and look up The Power of Listening, and you can sign up for our courses there. Joining me today are two of my friends, colleagues, and elevated listeners. Let's bring them out and learn what it is that they're doing. Mr. al.cini, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. It's good to be here.
Good to see you again. And Mr. Hiett Ives, hello.
Hey, Hiett, how's it going, buddy?
I'm good.
Good.
I wonder if this is what it's like if you play on a bowling league and you show up every Tuesday night and your buddies are there and you're all excited. Like, I feel like we're a team, you know, it's Wednesday Listening Mentor.
This is so much more fun than bowling.
It definitely is.
Yeah,
True confessions. I've got fat thumbs, so whenever I went bowling, the thumb would get stuck in the ball and I throw it into my leg. So nobody asked me to bowl anymore. It's true. It is. Before we get started, I just want you both to share a little bit about your background, because anybody watching and listening, whether it's on the live or the replay, you want to do business with these people. You want to get to know al.cini and Hiett Ives. They really care. They're heart-centric, and they have taken courses and become certified as elevated listeners. So they give you a safe space to share. They're not going to judge. They're not going to interrupt. They are not going to provide a solution. They are going to just be there to listen to you authentically. So let's hear more about them. We'll start with Mr. Cini.
I'm sorry, I missed all that. Could you repeat that again? so much for elevated listening. Hi, everybody. We have a team building experience called the Brand and Culture Alignment Toolkit, and I can be reached at al.cini at getbcat.com if you'd like to know more about that. But what I'm really looking forward to is the role play listening experience that Hiett and Dr. Jacalyn are going to be presenting today, because I've got some big company experience, and I've heard this played out a couple of times in my professional life, and it's never gone well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how you guys make a hash of it today.
Thank you,
sweetheart.
How about you, Hiett? What are you up to?
I am up to business marketing and business communications. I help people put their written communications into second person, present tense call to action format. And I am also an authority on business-to-business trade show marketing, which I help people get. I guarantee people qualified leads at any business show where they use my services. Other than that, I'm all ready for Christmas. Yay!
Cool. I love it. That's terrific.
Very cool.
All right, so let's talk about our role play today and our roles. And by the way, if you're watching, we would love to hear your comments. So go ahead and put them in whatever platform you're watching from. So Al is going to be the listening mentor today. And
I'm tuned in.
He's going to be observing. Hiett and I are going to be doing the role play, and we work in a big corporation. It is the end of the year, and I, as the leader, am going to be delivering some very important information, and Hiett has been invited to attend this meeting. The meeting is on Zoom. So let's get started. Al, I'll put you backstage while you observe, all right?
Great.
All right. Okay, you ready, Hiett?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today for this meeting. If you are here watching on Zoom, it's because you specifically have been invited to hear this information that I'm about to share. As your leader at XYZ Red Corporation, we really appreciate everything that you do all year to help us grow this business.
Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead.
Did I hear something? I'm sorry. I'll continue.
Keep going.
We are not going to be paying your year-end bonus. However, I would like you to listen to the end of what it is I have to say today, because you might miss out.
What in the world are you doing? You shafting us this year? She made it Christmas, man.
I'm sorry, Hiett, Ives. I have some more information to give if you would just give me a minute.
Go ahead.
So as I mentioned, your year-end bonus is not going to be paid at the end of this year. However, we are looking to do some nice things for you in the January timeframe of 2022.
What could be better than a bonus? Come on, woman. You're shafting us again.
I'm sorry, did you refer to me as woman?
Yeah.
Do you want to hear what I have to say, or
President? Whatever.
may I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I was going to say before I was interrupted is that we're not paying you your end of year bonus because January 15th, we're all giving you a 10% raise, and we're going to include that in that paycheck for January 15th.
Great way to tell us. Thanks.
So I guess you're not happy. You know what? Let me have my admin take Hiett Ives. Can you remove Hiett Ives from the list of people getting the bonus? Do you like that?
Not really, but what the hey.
All right, let's bring back Mr. C.
What a train wreck. And thank you for allowing me to watch.
How did it feel, Al, as you were watching?
I felt, well, first of all, if it were a Zoom meeting, right, and there were a couple of us, maybe dozens of us on a call like this, and it was you and maybe a senior member of the staff, Hiett, somebody who's been with you for a long time, who was expecting to get money for the swimming pool he was planning to install. This is like Christmas vacation.
Yes.
He expected to get money for a swimming pool he's going to install. Instead, you're telling him that it's sometime in January he's going to get a fruitcake.
Well, at first she starts with, "You ain't getting nothing this year.
You ain't getting squat." So all I know is while what you see on Zoom is just the tip of the iceberg, the crosstalk inside your company that's going on outside of Zoom is deafening. You have no idea what people are texting each other and phoning each other.
Can you believe what they're doing? What she's doing?
Do you believe this? And I've been in situations like this. Something I just want to let everybody out there, corporate executives, know is that whenever corporate executives get promoted, right? Let's say a senior vice president becomes an executive vice president, or a director becomes a vice president, right? Whenever that happens, they all feel like they need to let everybody know that there's been a major shakeup at the upper echelon of their company. So when I was working at the National Biscuit Company, which I'm altering the name so that you can't tell who I'm talking about.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Yeah, but it's pretty transparently obvious, and anybody who worked there at the time will know exactly what I'm talking about. I remember that the technology department had a shakeup, and they had a big, it was before Zoom, but they had a big video conference. National Biscuit Company, if there was anything they could do, it was video conferencing. They got hundreds of people on this call, and the entire focus of the call were 5 job changes at the upper ranks of the organization, going in elaborate detail about which of these 5 people got promoted and what their new roles were. And at the end of it, the last statement was, and we haven't exactly worked out what this means to all of you. But we promise in the next couple of months you'll be getting the word.
How did people take it?
Well, in that particular case, there was more silence than anything because I think everybody was just pretty much dumbfounded. I mean, if you're going to reorganize anything, and now conversations like that should start at the top of the org chart, which is the bottom, the way most managers see it. The people that actually do the work should be communicated with first. And they're the people that should be prepared for a landing that works for them. It's not a vanity play, and I just got promoted, and now I'm the chief this officer, and these 3 people that have been with me forever are now senior vice presidents. It was the worst example of corporate communication I think I've ever seen in my life.
In other words, you're saying it should have been from the bottom up. Those of you on this call that are in the production department want to let you know that your prayers have been answered, and we have now appointed XYZ, who has 25 years in your area of expertise, is going to be your front man. And those of you in the accounting department, I know you've had a real tough time for the last X amount of time, and Susie Q is now representing you. Is that you're saying if they're going to announce?
I was saying that if we would have heard something like that, it would have been a lot more meaningful to everybody who was on the call. Instead, all they did was talk about something that meant something to 5 people that were on the call.
Good point.
And that was it. And this conversation that you guys had that wasn't exactly a conversation was kind of a classic example of executive leadership having a big announcement to make and picking a really bad way to present it. Just, but thinking that maybe you read it in a business book somewhere that you need to get in front of all these things, and wherever you got the advice, Doc, to impart the information this way, don't go back there ever again for any further advice.
Well, really good points, both of you. I actually read that an executive from a publicly traded company held a Zoom meeting in the last month or so, and invited people and said, if you were invited, you're invited for a specific reason because we are firing you. And that's how they let the people know. So you have to actually have that one-on-one conversation. Like, don't people have the right to be told that information on a one-to-one basis as opposed to be brought into a Zoom call and find out, the bonus that you work for all year, you're not getting?
Of course they do. Yeah. Of course they do. And only some kind of bizarre conceit would lead somebody to believe that the information could be delivered that way without pain. There's no other way to say what you're going to say without causing the exact amount of pain you caused. And we saw it on Hiett's face. Hiett, you were agonized. I could see it in your face. It was painful. So has this ever happened to you? Have you ever had an experience like this?
Not identical, but I have I have had situations where I thought the doors were going to open and things were moving forward, and it slammed in my face. But yes, I can remember where I thought I was going to get something, and they said, well, you're not going to get it. You're going to get better. And I didn't wait for the get better.
Well, one of the things we learned from the listening mentor is that you really need to spend a little bit of time in your head reading your audience and knowing what it is they need before you open your mouth to share anything with them.
And I think also, and this is something that is really vital and important, I see it on a regular basis, is when you're speaking to someone, can you tell if I'm looking at you, can you tell if I'm listening to you when you speak? Sometimes people are already checked out thinking about, you said something, I'm going to go to the store and now they're at the store. They themselves have mentally transported themselves to the store and they're no longer with you. Like certain key trigger words, I would say. Yeah. So I think people have to be on the lookout for that when you're speaking. Is that other person listening? And how are you as a listener? Are you taking certain keywords and all of a sudden now you're looking at the person, but you literally have checked out and you're somewhere else?
Yeah, in fact, that's one of the things I've enjoyed about Zoom, especially like in my Toastmasters meeting where we have 16 to 20 people on the Zoom, and when I get that combined screen where all 16 of them are up there, if I'm speaking, I can look very quickly at all of them and see how people are reacting. And when I see certain people laugh or certain people go, "Oh, geez," it's easier to read the audience because that person that's doing this in a auditorium setting or a classroom setting may be over on the side, and you're not panning over there when they do that. So that is an advantage that a Zoom meeting has when you choose to utilize it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Hiett. And something else that I want to share is when I conduct these seminars, I can see who's listening to me, right? I can watch and see that somebody is in their phone or they keep turning the video off. And I think to myself, okay, I've got you. I see how you are in your life.
You hear the keys clacking, or you see that they move to another tab on the browser, because their eyes kind of shift over a little.
Yes.
And
That's such a telltale.
I used to think, and by the way, just to let everybody know that everybody thinks they have a rewind button in their brain, where if you're not paying attention to somebody, you're actually recording what they're saying without paying attention to it. And if they ever ask you, what do you think? All you have to do is push that rewind button and play it back to yourself. Well, there is no such thing. If you're not paying attention to somebody, as time goes on, you're drifting further and further away from them. And when it comes time to pedal up, race to try to catch up with them, you're going to be so far behind, it's going to be obvious to everybody that you weren't paying attention.
It's so true.
You're not getting away with it. I know this. Listen, I've been married for a long time. I can tell you, you don't get away with it. You don't get away with it.
Al, that takes me back to, yeah. It's some of Dr. Jacalyn's earlier things. My wife and I did some role playing for her, and when she set the situation, my wife would say something like, "That's not role play. That's everyday living."
That's my life with you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Something that you said, Al, that I just want to point out, because I don't know that everyone's aware of this. When you're on Zoom and you're doing something else and you think that the other person doesn't know, they know. They can tell, even though you're like looking straight ahead, they can tell you're alt tab into something else and you're typing. I've actually had shows with people, I'm not going to mention any names, co-hosts who are actually doing something else during the whole show and think I don't know. And
it's really a co-host. This is a co-host.
Yes, as a co-host.
Questions along with you.
Exactly.
Now that, let's talk about that. The job of being a co-host. The trick to being a co-host is don't ask the same questions that the host asks. And the only way you're not going to ask those questions is if you heard the questions when they were asked and remember that they've already been asked.
Exactly.
So here's a tip to any co-host. When the host asks a question like, so how did you get into this? And then 3 questions later, you say, so tell everybody, how did you get into this?
And it happens. It happens. And I'm kind of like, you weren't listening. And now everybody knows you are listening.
But I did it once. I do that show with RVN, that morning coffee thing. And every now and then, Joe will kind of zone off. Joe Assamendi's my co-host. We co-host the program.
He's great.
And it's a lot of, and we have a lot of fun with each other, but he's not always totally present. And every now and then, 3 questions in, he'll ask the same question I asked earlier. And then I have to kind of like make fun of it. Like, well, this time though, answer it from the point of view of somebody else. Try to pretend that the first time you
answer in a different language this time. If
exactly. Answer in a different language. Yeah. So that's classic not paying attention. So but this one, that role play that you guys were doing, that was really more a matter of you not having any empathy at all for the audience, and Hiett feeling strong enough in his role as your subordinate to be able to use this as an opportunity to make you look stupid in front of everybody.
Yes, that's
it
for
kind of
sure.
worked.
Yeah,
so you walked right into it. Yeah.
Do you guys remember a movie called, I think it's called Up in the Air with George Clooney?
Not particularly.
No.
It's a
No.
fabulous movie, and I'm going to tie it into what we're talking about. So he was in a business where organizations would hire this company. I'm just paraphrasing what I remember. Hire this company to come on site and actually have a one-on-one to fire someone and give them the packet. You know, you're no longer going to be working here, Mr. Jones. Here's the packet. There's a lot of benefits for you. And the person would cry or yell or whatever it was. Well, someone developed this technology where you no longer had to actually physically be at the location to fire someone. So you would sit in front of a computer screen, you get an invitation to come into this office, the screen's already on, and Mr. Jones, I hate to let you know, but we're letting you go. You'll see there's a packet on your desk, blah, 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 blah. And so the company with the technology thought this was incredible because you save all the time traveling and all the business expenses, but people need that one-on-one. So the point is, I wonder if the reason why business leaders have meetings like this, whether it's a conference call or if it's a Zoom call, is because they don't want to be there personally to have to look somebody in the eye for that, you know, I'm sorry, but I'm letting you go, and deal with the repercussions.
If you're going to do a bulk layoff, right, do it by email. Don't make a camera event out of it, because what all you're really trying to do there is put a human face on a really miserable experience that you're causing for everybody. And it's amazing to me how people can completely misread the sentiments. I mean, for some reason, I guess you imagine that you're about to lay people off and they're actually going to thank you for that when it's over. Because you're present there instead of just, aren't you grateful that I'm not doing this by email? I could have just sent you an email.
Right.
But instead,
Right.
Here I am, you know, and you've got to respect me for being the wonderful human being I am, because look at me, here I am.
I showed up.
Talk about being stupid. I mean, that's just complete insensitivity.
I remember on alignment with what you're saying, I worked for an organization, and right before Christmas, they let a bunch of people go. I wasn't one of the people, but I thought to myself, really, Christmas Eve, you're firing people? Like, what kind of person does that? What kind of organization does that? I don't know. You have all year to let someone go. You have.
Yeah, you ask HR for advice, and what kind of advice are you going to get from HR? Crappy, inhuman advice, almost always.
Yeah,
really. So HR is going to give you the advice that you need to avoid being sued, to avoid violating some law. I mean, they're going to give you that. They're not going to give you advice. They're not going to give you the advice you need to make a meaningful connection with a human being. They're going to give you the advice you need to stay out of court.
Well, they're going to look at it from the corporate side and say, well, hell, if we get them off the payroll by December the 31st, we don't have to carry them over. We don't have to start anything else. Whereas, you know, in reality, if you let them go through the new year and celebrate and have you know, their family and everything else, everything's right. You know, yeah, they're going to be pissed off at you on January the 2nd or 3rd, but they're also going to be thankful that you let them enjoy their holiday.
Well,
yes.
I'll tell you something I've never heard, you know, that we've had a really tough year. It's been really difficult. And, you know, I really want to thank all of you for hanging in there. And I've got to tell you, we need to cut. So I've decided to cut all the executive bonuses completely. And I'm cutting my salary in half. Said no corporate executive ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when it comes to listening as an executive, right? Because we are teaching listening skills. I think what I'm taking away from this is, if you have a message that's really going to potentially change someone's life, and also the ripple effect change other people's lives, find a way to deliver that message that's one human being to another. And if you can't do that, don't make it some public event where everybody's brought together, you know. So imagine we're all on Zoom and we find out we're not getting a bonus. It's like you look around, oh, he's not, she's not, he's not, she's not. And you look at the executive and think, didn't they just get a Maserati? You know, didn't they just buy their second beach home or whatever the case is?
They're not hurt. They've got some kind of a contract, and everybody knows this stuff. I mean, it's not like any of it is a secret. And so if you're going to have a layoff, just do the layoff. If you're going to be cold and callous, about it, then just do it by email or do it by whatever legal means you need to do it by. But really, we do such a poor job communicating down to middle management how to handle things like this and how to talk to people. I mean, if you really think about it, you got the big boss who's got several bosses that report to them, going directly to the people who report to the bosses under them and telling them they're fired.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be that the organization would figure out a way, it really did used to be, that the organization would figure out a way to share this information in as painless a way as possible with an explanation as to why. We have to do this because. And that might mean that that's used to be a manager's job, and now it's some corporate executive's corporate communication job, and it's just wrongheaded to think that'll work.
Yeah, and at that level, they read the script that the PR department has put out, as opposed to as the manager of the XYZ department saying, "Hey, Harry and Sue and Bill and Frank, you know, we've got a real problem here." And unfortunately, you know.
And something,
As we're going into 2022, you know, hopefully people that are listening will listen to this and think twice before they make, you know, broad decisions like this that they're going to deliver en masse. You know, we all know, for instance, that trying to put humor into an email doesn't work. You know, you got to be eyeball to eyeball with them. So, you know, same way, don't try to be cute as you were, you know, we're not giving you the bonus.
Yeah.
To get it next year. No.
no, because I'm not going to be here next year. I'm not going to wait around.
I think that's a really positive way to frame it too, Hiett, as a New Year's resolution. We're going into 2022. Yeah. What are we going to do differently next year?
Yes.
That respects the fact that people need to listen to each other, and that I need to listen to you and understand you, and not just announce things to you.
Mm-hmm.
And get input from your organization. There are so many people who have wonderful ideas, but they're intimidated to share them. They don't know how to share them. So I think when an organization is having issues, you can get some really great brainstorming ideas by talking to your people, talking to the employee base. And something else I want to just talk about, the number of people that I've interviewed the last year, small business owners who have found ways to keep their business going during the pandemic, to keep their employees. People have come up with incredible ideas how they've pivoted their business so that they can keep their employees gainfully employed. And you have to applaud that. It's fantastic.
It's something to be respected when it happens, and it's too rare.
You know, and to use a biblical analogy with the thing you've got behind us, the manger scene. You know, the apostles were from different. Some were farmers, some were businessmen, some were agriculturalists. So that if when the boss says, you know, I've got to tell everybody this, rather than call everybody together as you did, you know, you let your managers, who are farmers, who are agriculturalists, who are businessmen, talk to their own people in their own language and communicate your message in their language.
That's very valuable advice.
Yes, it is. I think as we close out our show, I'd love to have just a little impromptu about how to communicate during the family holiday dinner. So if you are part of a large family, or you're going someplace, or you're having people over and there are, let's say, more than 4 people, sometimes there can be a lot of excitement. People haven't seen each other in a while, and it's the holidays, and people just want to share and talk. And the next thing you know, everybody's talking over everyone. Has anybody experienced this?
Oh, plenty of times. You know, I don't think I mind it all that much. I mean, I come from a pretty raucous family, and I raised a pretty raucous family, and we tend to make a lot of noise, and it's always fun. Yeah. But when it gets into whether you're vaccinated or not, or whether you're Republican or Democrat, or you know, when it's the subject that creates all the electric shock.
Yeah.
value of it.
Yep.
And understanding that there's somebody else at the table who is sensitive to something, and avoiding discussing a topic that you know is going to inflame them is kind of like the height of it. I mean, that's common sense manners 101.
Yep.
So, Al, that's a great point. Do you, as the head of the household, I'd imagine, but do you get up and give a toast and say, "Hey, everyone, it's great to have you here. We're not talking about politics, religion, vaccination." No.
I don't do that.
Is there a sheet that you pass
There's
out?
no
Topics? No rules. Okay.
No, there's no rules. I mean, it's just if it does come up, though. I mean, one of the things I can do, one of the things I've developed is a gift of being able to argue any side of an argument. So as a host, I carry a certain amount of weight. If somebody comes in and says that they hate this guy or they love this guy, I'll argue that the opposite of that, just to make sure that there's a voice at the table from me that includes everybody else at the table who might not agree with that.
Well,
So,
and
because I threw the dinner.
If there are young children at the table, which in a business setting, if there are, second and third and fourth level people at the table, keep the conversation at their level. Keep the conversation.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that is really good advice.
That's great advice.
You're not going to talk to kids about politics or sex or the things that tend to divide adults.
Right.
If you keep it on, hey, how's your day going? And isn't this a great season of the year? And what are you looking to do next year? What's your biggest wish for? What didn't Santa bring you that you hope he brings you next year? Just keep it on the kids level, and everybody's. I'm looking at the two of you. You're smiling. You say, "Oh yeah, if I had done that," or "Yeah, I've done that," it changes the tenor. It changes the approach.
It's true. I always would value during the years when I would get seated as an adult at the kids' table, because I knew it was going to be a very upbeat,
More fun.
Yeah.
It's the funner table. Absolutely the funner table.
We've got a comment from Sylvia Taylor. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you. It's nice to see you. It's been a while. And we wish you all the best. Thanks for watching.
I know we got one more of these coming up, I think, next week. One more of the listening mentor. Hiett, you gave me this idea, and I think we discussed it before. How do you explain to kids that they didn't get what they thought they were going to get for Christmas? And that'll be a week from today, after the whole conversation. You didn't get the Red Ryder BB gun because you might shoot your eye out.
Yeah.
How do you talk to a 10-year-old about that?
Well, or it also could be, how did you handle it when you knew you weren't getting your kid what he wanted and he didn't get it? How did he handle it, and how did you handle how he handled it?
Well, you sound like you've had some experience disappointing children, Hiett, so I'll look forward to hearing that.
I'll share just a quick story about that, and not as a child, but as an adult. And I'm not going to give any names, but for Christmas, I wanted a handbag, and I was in this relationship with this man, and he knew I wanted. I said, the only thing I want is this bag. Okay. So when it came time for the holidays, I got the bag and I got other things. He bought me other things in addition to the bag. So my family was there for the opening of the gifts. And after they were gone, he said to me, "You have to return everything, including the bag." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, it's Christmas, and I wanted to give you a nice showing in front of your family." And I had to personally return every single thing. And I said, "I would have rather you just didn't get me
anything."
I didn't understand that. I had to go to therapy for that one, folks.
So how long after Christmas did that happen?
The divorce came relatively soon after that. And,
hey, listen, it could have been a murder. It could have been voluntary homicide.
Did I have to take the stuff back?
Yeah.
Yeah, right away. The next week I had to return all of it.
Seriously,
but
you had to
what
bring
did
in
he tell you? So you exchange gift on Christmas Day, and after everybody
In
left,
front of the whole family. Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, he loves her so much, and so this and so that,"
wow,
and then
what a
after it's like,
sweetheart. Wow, you're so lucky. And then what a tool.
yeah,
whoa,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. So please don't do that to your children. Don't give them things and make them take them back.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
It's not.
Definitely.
yeah, duh.
Yeah, bad idea.
Well,
Wow.
gentlemen, this has really been a lot of fun, and I appreciate you being here. So, Al, I'm going to spotlight you, and then I'm going to put up your information. And if you would love to share with people how they can reach you.
I'm easy to reach, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everybody. Merry Christmas this week, and then Happy New Year watch again next week. I can be reached at al.cini at getbcat.com. Look forward to hearing from you, and thanks.
Thank you, Al, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'll see you before New Year's. And Mr.
Mhm.
Hiett Ives.
Again, Hiett at hiettives.com. That's HIETTIVES. And you can also find me at LinkedIn. And I just want to wish all of you a very blessed Christmas. And we will see you before the new year. So enjoy your Christmas, enjoy your family, enjoy what Christmas is all about.
Thank you, Hiett. And I have to share with you both in our audience, if you knew in the middle of the night, I'm like, Hiett Ives, Hiett. Like I hear the email, the contact information, because I've heard you guys give it so many times. I just like, stop, no, stop.
No, no.
Oh, not him again, not him again. Lord, why him? Why him?
Jeez.
But this is a lot of fun. And by the way, I have some exciting news, which is for our next seminar, which is January the 5th. I actually have a poster. We have a large group of people who are already signed up to take the course.
Oh,
The
great.
course is, I should say. So they'll be joining us on future shows. Let me see if I can find it. I can never find my own things here. Okay. So the next opportunity to take the power of listening foundational courses parts 1 and 2 is January the 5th. You can just go over to Eventbrite, which I do have a banner for that, and you can go ahead and register. Here it is, eventbrite.com. All you have to do is put in the power of listening. There's a bunch of different courses there. You can sign up and you can join us, and then you can have the opportunity to meet Mr. al.cini, Mr. Hiett Ives on a future show and get to role play with
That
them.
could be fun. And by the way, this would make a great gift. Except I'm thinking it's a little bit like giving somebody the gift of deodorant or mouthwash.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you're not listening to me. Take
You're
some.
sending a message.
Yeah.
It's sort of like when I started Toastmasters. I had a job here in Houston on the professional staff of the Boy Scouts. My boss said, "You're not a good public speaker. If you want to keep your job, find a Toastmasters club."
But look how it changed your life, right?
It
Imagine
turned
if you
out.
hadn't.
Oh, yeah.
It turned out to be great advice.
That's right. It was.
Good.
Yeah. So buy that deodorant and you know,
Definitely, and mouthwash and the listening skills course for somebody who needs it in your life. And I'm betting in most people's lives there's a couple.
All right. I'm going to ask you guys, do you want to sing Merry Christmas with me? Merry Christmas to you. You ready?
Merry Christmas.
1, 2, 3. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Come on, guys.
There just isn't enough alcohol on this call.
That's actually happy birthday.
That is actually happy
well,
birthday.
yeah.
I think we owe somebody a licensing fee no matter how we eat. No matter how we
Yes, all the bells of holly. Yeah.
La, la,
la,
la,
la.
la, 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 la.
Now I want
All right.
Chinese.
I'll tell you a real quick Christmas story. Daughter was 6 years old. She was in first grade. This is her first Christmas. And I said, "Oh, here's a little ditty. We 3 kings of Orient are tried to smoke a rubber cigar. It was loaded. It exploded. Boom. No more 3 kings." Said it to her once. She went to school the next day. 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a phone call from the principal of the school. And it was a private Catholic school. Mr. Ives, would you please refrain from giving those kinds of things to your daughter?
That was a good lesson. I kind of cringed when I heard you say that. I was like, oh, that can't be going well.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Yeah.
It did.
Well played, Mr. Mr. Ives.
All right, now we're going to say goodbye. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Merry Christmas. We'll be
Bye,
back
y'all.
tomorrow. Bye.